welcome to the latest episode of Smart Energy Podcast, your go-to source for insights into the clean energy and e-mobility industry. I am Santosh Khatare, editor of Smart Energy magazine and your host. In each episode, we invite the movers and shakers from the industry to discuss their pivotal roles in advancing sustainability. Our guests share their efforts to promote clean energy and e-mobility, contributing to the climate and clean energy initiatives and the growth of the industry. In this episode, we are thrilled to welcome Mr. Manikkan Sangameswaran as our guest. We will delve into his entrepreneurial journey, explore his passion for decarbonization and climate action, and learn about his future plan for his company and contributions to the growth of the clean energy sector. Welcome, Mr. Manikkan, and thank you for joining us on this episode of Smart Energy Podcast.
Thank you, Santosh, for having me on this podcast, and thank you, Smart Energy, for giving me this opportunity.
Before we begin our conversation, I would like to introduce Mr. Manikkan to all our viewers. Manikkan is a distinguished professional with a robust academic background and over 3 decades of experience in the financial services and renewable energy sector. He holds a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering and a master's in management studies from Mumbai, MSc in business economics from the University of Buckingham, UK, and a postgraduate diploma in securities law from Government Law College, Mumbai. He founded Origin Renewables Private Limited in 2015, which was later acquired by Radiance Renewables, where he now serves as the executive director and CEO. Manikkan is passionate about decarbonization and climate action, leveraging his expertise to drive one of India's fastest growing renewable energy companies.
Mr. Manikkan, to begin with, tell us more about Radiance Renewable and the idea behind its incorporation.
Thank you, Santosh, for the kind words of introduction. Radiance Renewables was incorporated in the year 2018 and was created through the fund called the Green Growth Equity Fund as a platform for promoting growth in renewable energy through the serving the C&I market, as we call it, as a corporate industrial market. The fundamental philosophy was to build a business that is focused in serving corporate India and helping them in their green transitioning, and thereby helping the overall national goal of decarbonization and moving towards the net zero goal. So this was the thought process behind the formation of Radiance Renewables. Origin Renewables was a company that I had incorporated and that was focusing on the rooftop projects, which was subsequently acquired by Radiance, and I moved into Radiance to lead the charge of building the business of Radiance. And I'm very happy to note that in the last 3.5, 4 years that we have built the business, especially with 2 years during COVID, we have achieved a remarkable amount of growth. And today we have more than 500 plus megawatts of operating capacity in a short period of time. So we're happy to see that we are one of the fastest growing players in the renewable energy market in India, focusing purely on the C&I, or what I call as a corporate industrial market, which accounts for almost 50% of the total energy consumption in the country.
It's fascinating to know about Radiance Renewable, the idea behind its incorporation, and the growth journey that it has gone through. Moving to our next question, could you elaborate on the types of renewable energy solutions Radiance offers for commercial, industrial, and residential customers, and how do you ensure that the solutions are affordable to the client?
Yeah, I think it's a very, very good question. As I said earlier, we are largely focusing on the corporate industrial customers, not so much on the residential market yet, but the focus is on the large corporate customers and industrial customers. Again, the models that we offer here are very customer centric approach to solutioning. We provide solutioning to the customers based on their connectivity, based on their voltage levels, based on the amount of power they consume, based on the load profile of the customer, which varies across facilities and across states. We analyze their electricity bills, the consumption patterns, spend time with the management team to understand how they consume the power. And based on this, we come with a tailor made solution. So, in some cases, the model involves us to provide a behind the meter solution to the customer. In other cases, and most of the times, we find that the energy requirements are so high that the behind the meter solutions does not make sense because they don't have enough land area or rooftop area to provide for putting up capacities that would meet substantial amount of their energy needs through renewables. So in almost all the cases, we find that the appropriate solution for the customer is to supply power from a off-premise located solar farm or a wind farm or a combination of the two, and supply power through the grid to the customer, wherein he's able to offset a significant amount of his brown power with green power, and that's the solution that we provide. So in theory and in practice, what we look at is the solutions range from behind the meter solution to an open access solution. In the open access solution, there are two types. One is where the customer invests equity in the project company and therefore is qualified as a captive consumer. And in the other is where he does not invest in the equity of the company and therefore is categorized as a third party open access customer. The only difference between the two is that in both the cases, the power is drawn through the grid, but in one case, the equity is invested, in the other case, it is not. So there are some waiver of additional surcharging and cross subsidy surcharge, which is available in the captive consumer model, which is not available in the third party open access model. So for us, these are the three models that are most prevalent in the solutioning to the corporate industrial customers. So this is as of today. Going forward, the solutioning is changing rapidly because it also involves us to look at battery solutioning, look at hybrid solutioning, wherein we will be adding solar plus wind plus battery, sometimes even looking at pump storage hydro project, and depending on whether we are supplying the power from central transmission utility provided generating station or within the state located station. So the solutioning is getting more complex, and in that context, we have also now added a power trading arm into our business, which will allow us to tailor make better solutions to our customers with different kind of requirements. So these are all the solution offering that we are giving. Your second question was how do we ensure that it is affordable to the customer? So in every situation that we analyze, we are keen to make sure that the customer saves at least 20 to 30%, if not more, of the energy bill in the assessment as it exists today. And typically, the selection of the states and the selection of the customers are based on their credit profile, based on the states in which they're located, and based on the solutioning that we give. So, in almost all cases, we find that customers end up saving up to at least 30% of their electricity bill, which is a direct addition to their bottom line without any significant capital investment. So, I think it's a great win-win solution for the customer.
Yeah, it's actually very nice to know about the diverse C&I customers you are serving with the innovative solutions that are there, and even you are moving to newer areas like trading and those things. So, moving on to the next question, uh, with Radiance managing an operational capacity of 510 megawatt peak and having significant project under construction and development, what are the key challenges you face in scaling up your operations?
So it's a very good question. I think there is no infrastructure industry in the country that doesn't face challenge. So to that extent, we are also a product of the infrastructure industry, and we also have certain challenges. The biggest challenge that we see today in rapid scale up and growth in the open access market is the availability of land at a reasonable timeline that we're talking about. And of course, the costs of land have also gone up over recent past because of the renewable energy boom that we are seeing. So the land acquisition is one of the critical area that is the most time consuming in the development of a project. The other thing that is getting also more scarce going forward now is the connectivity at the CTU level, which is the central transmission utility level, where projects are getting connected on a ISTS basis, which is the interstate transmission system. So there are people or developers who are already locking up connectivities in up to 2029 and 2030, which is almost 5 years from today. So the connectivity can become also a sort of a challenge going forward. And there are a number of other challenges which are largely regulatory and policy in nature. One such challenge was during COVID. We had a tremendous challenge in terms of the changes that happened both in custom duty, the cost of transportation, which went up significantly, which has now come back to normal. The module prices shot up during that time. They have now come back to reasonable levels. So these are challenges that we face on and off. I think now we have ALMM, which has been put in place, which gives a boost to the domestic industry. And I'm assuming that going forward, the Indian industry will have enough supply of modules. Right now, for at least the short term, for the next 6 to 12 months, there is likely to be a mismatch between the supply and demand of modules, demand being more than the supply locally. And therefore, we have to schedule our module purchases to meet our requirements. So these are some of the challenges that are there in the industry. But I think longer term, it is looking more positive with a lot of good positive regulatory developments that are happening.
Yeah, as you rightly mentioned that the infrastructure industry has its sets of challenges, and it's very insightful to learn about from you how you are actually overcoming these challenges. So moving on to my next question, what are the key priorities for Radiance Renewables in the next 12 to 18 months, and how do you plan to achieve a portfolio of 2 gigawatt?
So yeah, thanks, Santosh. So the current operating capacity, we are already at close to around 520 megawatts, and this year itself we are sort of building out another 300 to 350 megawatt, which we plan to close by the end of this financial year. With that, we would be closer to the 850 odd megawatt, and then we have a pipeline of almost 1.2 gigawatts, which is laid out over the next 2 years beyond this financial year. So I think with that, with the completion of those projects, we would be hitting 2 gigawatt over a period of the next three financial years, including this year, and that's the plan that we have. In terms of the priorities for Radiance Renewable this year, of course, the priority is to complete our existing under construction projects and plus build a larger inventory of developmental assets for projects for further project development in the next 2 years. Two key priorities for us is one is we are also moving away from really being a pure solar player to a hybrid player. So that is a key priority for us. So we will be adding wind and sort of battery energy storage solutions to our portfolio so as to offer more unique solutions to our customers. So that is one pivot we are doing from being pure solar to hybrid. And the other pivot we are doing is from a pure STU based solution provider, which we were doing till date, to move towards STU plus CTU based solution provider. In this context, we already procured connectivity for at the CTU level for project that we are working on, which will get ready by FY 26-27. So these are the priorities for us for this year and for the next couple of years that we have planned for.
The goal is ambitious, but definitely we are sure that Radiance will not only achieve it, but it will definitely surpass these goals and set new benchmarks after that.
Thank you.
Can you elaborate on the strategic goal behind the joint venture between Radiance Renewables and Infraco Asia, and what motivated Radiance Renewable for this joint venture?
So it's a very good question. So as you may be aware, Infraco Asia is a very large, very prestigious, high pedigreed organization who work with very limited number of high quality organizations in the development of infrastructure projects in emerging markets. So so we were selected by them as a partner that could qualify their needs. They were looking for additionality of projects, and we were able to provide a number of projects that we were working on. And the our ESG goals and mindsets that we have in the way we operate our HSE and ESG practices met with their requirements of how they look at it, especially because we are owned by one of the largest climate funds in India. So there was a lot of meeting of minds. From that context, there was a natural fit. But more than that, also the fact was that we could do more projects with their capital along with our own capital. So that way, we are able to do more capacity and serve more customers with the same amount of capital that we had to start with. So that was the key motivation for doing it. And the second was that we believe that this is only a starting point. Both organizations feel that if this develops further, both organizations will be able to put more capital and expand the scope of the joint venture. And we think there are a lot of other interesting solutions that Infraco Asia can provide going forward to this market from an innovation perspective. And from a financial innovation perspective, like they have Go and they have other kinds of products which may be useful to tailor make certain kind of solutions in the Indian market. So we think there is a good strategic fit between the two organizations.
Joint ventures are pivotal for growth, and understanding the strategic goals and motivation behind this partnership provides a great insight into your future plans. Moving on, what are some of the key trends and opportunities that Radiance Renewables see in the Indian renewable energy market, and how is the company positioned to capitalize on them?
Yeah, it's a question very close to my heart. So let me sort of respond to that. So when we started this business, the CNI market was not a very big market at that time. It was still around 1.2, 1.5 gigawatt per year, and now we are already seeing 4.5 gigawatt per year of addition every year. This is just the CNI market, not the overall market of renewables. Just the CNI market that we're talking about. Now we believe that this 4.5 gigawatt market will grow further to close to 10 gigawatt hour market, 10 gigawatt capacity by 2030. So the overall open access C&I market from where it was at around 35 gigawatt would end up at something like 9,500 gigawatt by 2030. So we are talking about roughly 60 to 65 gigawatt of addition over the next 6 7 years. So that's a lot of capacity that needs to be built to help the corporates in the green transitioning. And one of the biggest trends we see is that Indian companies that needs to be competitive in the global market and who are supplying products and services to the international market wants to green their power requirement for various reasons. Some of these reasons are because they are greening their supply chain. The European and US importers want to make sure that the suppliers have at least 50% to 70% of their energy used has been from green. So supply chain greening is one of the reasons, one of the trends that we see. Second is we see a lot of data centers that are growing in India because of both data explosion and data localization. Again, these are companies that want only green power. So that's another trend that we see from a customer perspective. Third is that there is this CBAM that is being introduced in Europe from 2025, which is basically sort of a carbon-based adjustment mechanism, which can lead to import duty type tariff based on the carbon used in the production of the goods. So this will also force a lot of Indian companies exporting to the European markets to have more sort of green power usage in their production of goods and services. So these are some of the trends that are driving the demand for the C&I market in India. And second is even boards are mandating their companies to turning more green from a sustainability perspective for their own customers and shareholder base. Even the listed companies have a requirement to disclose their sustainability factors today. I think all these factors are some of the trends that we see in the C&I market. What this means is that it has led to a different kind of evolution. Initially, the customers were very skeptical about buying power from open access through developers like us, and they would initially only do a small pilot of 2 3 megawatt or 5 megawatt and maybe meet 10% of the requirement. Today some of the customers have gone up to 30 40% of their requirement through greening, and they have seen the benefits of that and see the benefit both from a energy greening perspective and as well as from a commercial perspective in terms of savings that they've achieved, and now they want to have more. So a lot of the customers are looking, and we ourselves have a number of repeat customers. Almost 20% of their business comes from the existing customers who keep on adding new capacity to meet their requirement, and they are also growing very fast. So all of this is a trend that we see. What it means for us is we need to provide solutions which are becoming more round the clock for the customer, because some of the large process industries, steel companies, they have 24 by 7 requirement, and they're looking for a solution which is 100% green. So that puts us to look at hybrid solutioning for us, because we can't provide solar power in the night because solar is not available in the night. So we need to look at solar plus wind plus battery plus other sort of storage, pump storage, etc. So this is one solution that we see. Second is another interesting market that's opening up is the fixed dispatchable renewable energy. So we think this is another evolution that's happening in the market. And while it is largely being seen in the utility scale projects, we believe that for C&I also the customers will start looking for FDRE type solutions, which means that any solution to meet these requirements require hybridization of the projects and technology, and some element of storage. In the past, the storage has been expensive. The storage prices are dropping dramatically, so that makes it more economically viable and suited to the Indian market. So I think along with this, you need to also look at power trading, because that allows you to have flexibility in dealing with customers for whom you supply from the CTU market, because there's no banking available, and then you need to have the ability to buy and sell power to meet the requirements, at the same time have battery solution. So these are the kind of key trends that I see in terms of complexity of solutioning. The demand growth is growing demand growth has been very high, and it is going to only increase as we go further in the next few years.
Can you share some success stories or case studies of how Radiance Renewables has helped its customers achieve their sustainability goals?
Yeah, so there are a number of case studies that we have. There are customers like who are MNC based customers who have requirements of power for greening requirements, where we have helped them supply open access power in the state of Tamil Nadu, in the state of Maharashtra, in the state of Karnataka, where they have had savings, significant savings, plus the greening of their operations. So there are enough and more case studies. We've seen a customer in the data center segment in Maharashtra, for whom we are executing a 217 megawatt project, where the first phase has been completed, and they are seeing the greening benefit of that power, along with the economic saving that accrues to them. There are steel industries who buy power from us, and they are repeat customers. They've been buying both long term and many times also buy short term power from our excess generation that we have in some of our plants. So I think there are more than one case study, and in all the cases, there is a definite saving to the customer. There is definitely a greening that they have, and they are all happy customers who come back for repeat business. So I think that's a testimony to the way we are engaging with our customers in the market.
Happy customers highlight the impact of the work that you are doing, and and it's really inspiring to see how Radiance is helping its customer achieve its sustainability goals. So moving on, sir, what are Radiance Renewables' thought on current policy and regulatory framework for the solar industry in India, and what changes would the company like to see?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. In the C&I space that we operate in, regulations and policy make a play a very important role. I think there is a lot of good and positive developments on the regulatory front that the government, through the central government initiatives, have been driving through CRC and other bodies, other authorities. So we've seen one interesting regulation that has come and made a lot of good changes. It's called the Green Energy Open Access Rules, which now allow smaller customers who earlier were not eligible for open access because their connected load was less than 1 MVA. Now, customers above 100 kVA, which is one tenth of what it was earlier, are also eligible for green energy open access, which means a whole new segment of MSME customers and smaller customers, commercial customers, are also now eligible for buying power through the open access route. So that is one big change, and this change is now percolating down to across all the states, because all the various state electricity regulatory commissions are adopting these rules across all the states. So this is one positive change we see. Second is, we also see in the policy of various states, in the renewable energy policy, they are also including hybrids as a strategy, including battery energy storage and wind solar hybrids. So there are some good policies from Gujarat, Karnataka, and other states where hybridization is now being encouraged. So there is a benefit to the discom also with the hybridization, because then they don't have to provide as much banking as they would otherwise have to provide, and provides more stability to the grid. So we see this one rule has made a very good impact, one policy change. Second policy change we've seen is in terms of the ability to supply power to any customer across any state through the interstate transmission system, which has now been facilitated through the introduction of the General Network Access Rules, which is the GNA rules. Now, these rules allow a customer who is, a generator above 50 megawatt to connect to the CTU and sell across the state based on where the customer is. So what this does is that a customer may be in a lower resource region, like for example in eastern India, where it rains a lot, the weather is not as good, but the customers can procure that power from a market like Rajasthan, Maharashtra, Gujarat, etc., which allows for free flow of electricity. So, which means the whole concept of one nation, one grid is truly achieved through this regulatory change at the CTU level. You asked the question, what would I like to see further? I would say that maybe there is a thought process going around to look at implementing GNA at the state level. Now we'll want to see how that pans out. So that is one area that we will see some changes happening. The other thing on the regulatory front is that there have been significant changes that are happening quite a bit. I would prefer that if you have more stability in the rules so that we can plan projects accordingly, it would help because too many changes for implementing projects, because project timelines are a little longer, it takes anywhere between 10 to 12 months or even more. And we need to plan for executing those projects. So those are the things that I think are important from our perspective and from the industry perspective.
Thanks a lot for this elaborate views on the current policy climate that is there in India. So moving on, sir, Radiance Renewable has been bestowed with various awards and recognitions. To what do you attribute your success, and what role do you envision to play in India's goal of achieving net zero emission by 2070?
So I think the success definitely is attributable to teamwork. I think our team has been very focused and very committed. So we have built a very high quality team of over 100 people now who are working tirelessly in building this business and growing the business. I would also like to thank my shareholders who have reposed their commitment and faith in the build out of this platform in the last 4 years. We have had some turbulent challenges, including COVID and difficulties in procuring modules because of the changes that happened in the supply chain. Despite all that, we have had the backing of our shareholders, and we are on the right path of growth right now, and we are growing faster. And I would say that in terms of achieving the net zero emissions of by 2070 for the country, our role will continue to be to help the corporate market in India to transit in their green journey, and that's how we will help them by making them economically stronger, so that Make in India becomes competitive, and at the same time, this is a large market and growing very fast, of 50% plus right now, and our little contribution in providing renewable energy to this market segment is how we would like to contribute to the net zero goals of the country.
Thank you so much, Mr. Manikkan, for joining us today and sharing your incredible journey and insights. It's been truly inspiring to learn about the impactful work Radiance Renewable is doing in the renewable energy sector. We wish you and your team continued success in your mission to drive decarbonization and climate action.
Thank you, Santosh. Thank you, Smart Energy, for this opportunity.
Yeah, thanks a lot, sir. Thanks. It was nice speaking with you.
To our viewers, we hope you found this episode as enlightening and motivating as we did. Be sure to subscribe to Smart Energy Magazine YouTube channel for more episodes featuring stories and insights from industry leaders. Don't forget to follow Smart Energy on LinkedIn, X, Instagram, and Threads. For regular updates on the clean energy and e-mobility industry, visit www.smartenergymagazine.com. Until next time, take care and keep striving for a sustainable future.